For the past few years, I have been using Rebrandly. Rebrandly is a really nice service that you can use to create short URLs. Now, creating a short URL is really important. First of all, you will have your very own short URL that you can share on social media sites. They are, of course, easier to share, and especially when you are posting something on, let us say, Twitter or maybe any platform where there is a limit on the number of characters that you can post, then having a short URL is a must. Now, I share a lot of content. I write a lot. I also create a lot of videos, and whenever I create any content, I like to share it. But most of the times, I do also create a short URL. And Rebrandly is quite good because when you have Rebrandly plugin in your browser, you can easily create your own short URLs. At the same time, you can also link Rebrandly to your Zapier. So this is what I have been doing for quite a while now, and I'm quite happy with this. But I always thought of building my own short URL, my very own personal short URL service. And if you search on Google, you can actually find some free open source projects where you can simply use that particular project, use that particular tool or software, and you can basically host your own URL shortener. But I was looking at building my own, and I came across a couple of videos. So this specific video from Web Dev Simplified is basically all about creating your own URL shortener with Node.js. Now, I have never worked with Node.js in my life, and I was looking at this video in the morning. This video is only 25 minutes. So this guy built a URL shortener application within 25 minutes. So I thought I can also do that. And I started building my own. It took me not really 25 minutes, but I should say a couple of hours. I already have Node.js installed on my local computer. I also installed MongoDB. And if you're on Mac, then installing these things using Homebrew is not at all difficult. So I installed MongoDB. Node.js was already there, and I was following this guy's tutorial, and this guy is using Visual Studio Code. So I want to follow the tutorial. I already had Visual Studio Code, so I was actually able to recreate or basically learn first how to create the URL shortener using Node.js along with MongoDB, and within a couple of hours I was able to build my own. So this is something that I built, and in his tutorial he also used Bootstrap for designing, although there is not really much of a design here, but it looks good. uh, this is not really looking bad. And if I, let us say, have to create my own URL, a short URL, I can of course type in my URL on top. I can click on the button and it will create number one, the maybe a short URL. Of course, it is not really, I mean, these characters are not really short, but it depends. I mean, it depends on the URL, because this URL, it can be your full URL, and this short URL will be a randomly generated string. But of course, when you have your code in front of you, you can always modify it. Although I'm not really an expert in Node.js, I think today was my second or third application that I created. Of course, a very short application. I never really built any big application or anything huge. I always did few small things here and there by looking at some tutorials. But today I was actually able to create this service within a couple of hours. And along with the short URL, you also have a count here. Now this is quite similar to the Rebrandly, where you have your short URL along with the number of clicks. So let us say if you click on one of the short URL, which is of course running on localhost, it will capture, first of all, it will open the link for you. If I click on it a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and if I refresh my page, you can see here that the count is also increased, and this is what we want. I will have some history of a number of clicks uh, on this particular application. Everything is stored in the database, Mongo database, and I learned quite a lot. If you look at this piece of code, there are nothing but few files. There is one index file where you're basically generating. You basically have a table that the same page will let you enter the URL and also to display the list of existing short URLs along with the actual code which is in server.js, and all the packages, required packages are mentioned in package.json file. So today I just wanted to share that in case you want to do the same thing, I will share the link to this tutorial, and I'm quite happy with my weekend project. It took me a couple of hours and I was just able to do it while I was having my breakfast and my tea, and within few hours I have my fully functional and not bad looking URL shrinker. Now of course the next step would be to host it on a server on a proper URL, and I will also add some authentication. To be honest, I have no idea how it works, but since Node.js is quite popular, I'm sure I will be able to figure out um, easily. And there are a lot of other tutorials on the on YouTube or maybe on internet if you search on Google. But this specific one was the most simplest, easiest, and yet uh, the end result was quite satisfying. So um, I'm looking forward to now host it on my server. For hosting it on a server, first of all, you need maybe your own domain in case you want to have it maybe with with a short URL, uh, a proper domain name. So I have this ravi.pro. I'll probably use the same domain. I'll probably create maybe a subdomain. I already use go.ravi.pro for the rebrandly. I'll probably create something else, something similar. I don't know what, but once you have the domain name, then you need to also have a server, install Node.js, MongoDB, and I think that is it. I don't think it will be that complicated. And when you basically when you are on server, you can I believe use npm install to bring all those packages that you have on local right now, because when you commit your code to the code repository, you don't really need to commit your node underscore modules folder. This is where this is a folder where you have all the modules that are needed for this application to work. So I'm looking forward to add more features to it, and I also wanted to share with all of you. In case you want to do the same thing, you can follow this tutorial. So this is all I wanted to share in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.